I'm confident that with the salary position that's in place in TransLink that we will be able to continue to have excellent leadership in that organization.
Time for a couple more questions.
Sorry, what's the time frame, Minister? So you have to bring this back down and discuss with government. You've got a lot of good recommendations here by your own account. What's your time frame to actually get this done?
Well, we want to do it thoughtfully, and I think what we wanted to do today was share the information with the public. We honored the commitment to make the report public. So over the next number of weeks, not only will we be discussing the recommendations, but so will the other partners in this report. Today, I certainly know that TransLink and B.C. Ferries want some time as well. So there are legislative suggestions in the recommendations. So obviously, if we are looking at potential changes to legislation, that would set a time frame in the spring. But I can assure you, we're going to roll up our sleeves, go through these recommendations over the next number of weeks, and continue to have this discussion with our stakeholders.
She expresses a concern as well that there's a risk that focus on the profitability or sustainability of the ferry operator could be at the expense of the public service mandate for the ferry system. What's your reaction to that?
Sorry, can you read the quote again?
Just a risk that focus on the profitability or sustainability of the ferry operator exclusively could be at the expense of the public service mandate for the ferry system. So basically she's talking about sort of short-term decisions and based on profitability as opposed to the public mandate.
Well, I think one of the things that she points out clearly is that a changed role of the regulator. She wants to add a seventh principle. Right now, the commissioner actually has 6 principles under which he operates. She wants to add a 7th one, which is protection for ratepayers and customers. And I think much of her report is about that balance. How do you look at the bottom line, but also protect ratepayers and customers and taxpayers in general? So she makes some suggestions about changes to how we regulate BC Ferries, and I think that's to address the very concern that you've articulated. It is a balancing act. And I do think she has pointed out, though, that BC Ferries has worked very hard to make sure that the fiscal operation of the company has been done very well. In fact, they've contained costs. They've tried to do that in order to inject the resources into those ferry fares and the routes.
And she also makes a recommendation in regards to more accountability in terms of opening BC Ferries up to FOI. But will you commit to that for British Columbia who want to know how much you get paid that?
Well, I think, again, that's probably one of the significant recommendations in this report. We're absolutely committed to considering it. I can't answer that specifically today. We're going to consider each recommendation. I think it's an important request. We should note that, there is a changed circumstance at BC Ferries now. Since they engaged in a bond offering, obviously one of the things that was required was the publishing of the salaries, which in fact led to some of this discussion. So I think it does warrant discussion, and we will consider that recommendation.
As a British Columbian, do you think you have the right to that information?
Well, I think the issue today is whether, as the Minister of Transportation, I think the recommendation is appropriate for BC Ferries, and that's exactly the discussion I will have with my colleagues. I think it is a significant recommendation that warrants review.
Thank you.
Sorry, just one more?
Yeah, I'll take
okay.
one.
Sorry, one more thing on TransLink. Did you see anything in the recommendations or in the report that would provide a tool to alleviate some of the concern over TransLink's funding model, where it can raise taxes or fees or that sort of thing?
Well, I think what the Comptroller does point out, and you'll see in some of the charts, she does raise the issue of how revenue is generated. And in fact, she makes the suggestion that we need to look at the percentage breakdown, 1/3 that's related to vehicle taxes, 1/3 property taxes, and 1/3 additional revenue through fare box and other things. So I think the key points that she makes are that TransLink has a number of tools that need to be used to their full capacity. And secondly, that we need to use those tools before more and additional dollars are asked for. So I think she has worked hard to try to analyze the costs that are currently borne by Metro Vancouver residents, and in order to look very candidly at how we're going to find that gap. So I think she's done some good work and has a recommendation about whether it's time to increase those percentages across those categories. Thank you very much for your time today. I'm sure we'll have lots more discussion about this over the next number of weeks. So thanks a lot.